We might have a third man coming, but I cannot guarantee that because I don't know. People are not reliable, as we all know. So,
Classic flag on group.
classic flag on group. Gustavo said he was on his way. Anyways, Monotype for the Flag on Championship Series Season 1 Spring Split. We're going to do Swiss like we have done the last couple tournaments. The next one is going to be double elimination. You go ahead and sign up if you're interested. It is next Friday at it's 5 Pacific, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, which is an hour from now if you can't time zone. Like, you should probably learn your own time zone at some point in your life. So if you don't know that, you should probably get into that. What's up, T Too Long? Anyways, meeting us, I'm Flagon, CEO of the Flagon Battling Org, tourney organizer and streamer, editor of the Delta articles. I've never won a Pokemon tournament ever. Legiro, on the other hand, is the Flagon's first ever tournament winner, has since retired to casting. It still has not been updated. We had 6 people read through this PowerPoint. It still says that Legiro is the CEO of the Flagon Battling Organization as well. No, he's just the lead caster. He's also the assistant author in the Delta articles. Libro. Anyways, about Monotype in general, Monotype is the other metagame where all Pokemon on your team must share a common type. Both single and dual type Pokemon are allowed. For instance, Keldeo is eligible for both Mono Water and Mono Fighting. In the case of Mega Evolutions, the Pokemon's typing in its regular form is what matters. For example, Gyarados is Water Flying type, so even though Mega Gyarados is Water Dark, it can still be used on a Flying team. Following the same rule, Mega Gyarados cannot be on a Dark team because regular Gyarados is not Dark type. Restrictions, it's like OU, but it's not like OU. Arceus, Blaziken, Darkrai, Deoxys Attack, Dialga, Genesect, Giratina, Origin Form, Greninja, Groudon, Ho-Ho, Kyogre, Kyurem White, Luigi, Lugia, Mewtwo, Palkia, Rayquaza, Reshiram, Shaman Sky, Talonflame, Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zekrom are banned. Type-only bans are Aegis Slash is banned for the Steel type only. Altarionite, Charizardite X, Damprock, Gengarite, Kangaskhanite, Lucarioite, Malwoite, Metagrossite, Salamencite, Slowbroite, Soldew, and Smoothrock are all banned from Monotype. Just to get a look, it's a little different, again, from regular OU, because we have some of these Pokemon that are unbanned. We have the Aegis Slash that is not banned for Ghost-type Monos. We have Deoxys D and Deoxys Speed, which are both unbanned. And Landorus I, probably the most notable unbanned, because it's so heavily used, because Ground and Flying are 2 of the most popular types. For the banned Mons that are in OU but aren't in this, Mega Slowbro, too strong for the water. Chara X, because it really gives Flying just that other Mon that it does not need. Metagross, just because Metagross is hard to deal with, and Altaria, which is like one of the best Monotype Mons ever, was recently banned. So, enough about that. Getting into the general rules, it's best of 1 Swiss. Play 1 game against 4 opponents. Match against the opponents based on results. As TB Charizard knows, you do not get eliminated when you lose your first game. There are so many people who just don't know that. It's also in the rules if you want to go check that out. 6-player top cut, so the top 6 players from the 4 rounds of Swiss get moved into a bracket of 6 players with the top 2 players receiving a bye. Our tournament's a little bit different because we have adapt to play. You can switch up your moves and items of your Pokemon between matches, but you cannot change your Pokemon themselves. Open book, feel free to use anything that you'd like, except for opposing player live, like other players giving you advice during your match. So just be conscious of that. I really want you to be focusing on yourself and your own play, but feel free to talk to other players in between matches. DCs, if you disconnect in the middle game, you may restart it if it's before turn 6, otherwise it's a loss. Don't cheat. Cheating rules are online. Don't cheat. That's like bad. Once you get into a match with your opponent, do not start your match until the casters give you the clear to go. When you're in a match, do not listen or watch the stream. Doing so will result in a ban from both the current tournament and future tournaments. Be aware of the timer. If you time out, You lose. If you're in a tourney match, you must forfeit all other matches you are currently playing, no exceptions. If you do not show up for your match, you will forfeit that match. We are not waiting for you. Important last-second change. Replays are down right now, so we're going to do a different policy. Notify a staff member that you are in a game on Showdown, and then wait until they join the game. Staff include Nuclear Togekiss, Quantum Jumper, Copagriga, Shadow Tag, Porygon. They're all on Discord. What is the Flagon Championship Series? A series of 14 individual tournaments hosted by myself all year round. Each season of PCS lasts exactly 1 year, starting from February 1st and ending on the same date. During each tournament, entrants receive PCS points for participating. Basically, however well you do, you get more PCS points or less PCS points. At the end of the season, those with the most points will win cool prizes and awards. You can also spend your points for other prizes as well. For the full description, type network into chat, go to the tourneys tab, and hit info. Here are all the tournaments that we have. We're doing the Monotype right now. We have UU next week. PU and OU will be in April. Then we have a month break, and we start PSL, which goes from May to August, which is fantastic. Then we have our fall split where we go OU, VGCs, UU, NU, Ubers, OU. Then we have PWL to all end it off. Here are the top 13 players right now. Jin Axel, Nukio Togekiss, XYZ, Quantum Jumper all playing. Mitten, not even close. Ryan, Super Mew, Cofagrigus are all playing. The rest of these players in the top 13 aren't playing, so you're able to make up some ground. Nukio Togekiss is so far behind that he cannot be in first place at the end of the tournament because Jin Axel's participation points will put him at 42, and if Nukio Togekiss wins, he gets 20 points. The top 4 players in this tournament in PCS have been really good, Alex.
Yes, they have.
And they've made top cut almost every tournament for the last 6 or 7 tournaments. You want to talk about, the play of these players and how we expect them to do well almost every tournament, no matter what format we do.
Yeah. Honestly, I there's usually a pattern that goes with these guys. Obviously, I can't say it's going to happen every time because the one time I say it's the time it's not going to happen. But for the most part, usually we see Jin kind of dominate the first 3 matches and then somehow get his butt handed to him on the last thing, only to get 4th place in Top Cut and then usually win the series, as per usual. XYZ, has gotten to the finals so many times only to unfortunately have his championship taken from his very hands almost pretty much every time. So he's definitely hungry for his first win. Pro Frog, he's probably one of the strongest battlers we have in our group. He knows the plays, he understands how Pokemon works. He's really strong, and he's, like I said, we've said that he's pretty much made Top Cut almost every single time that he's in the tournament, and unfortunately he's not here in this tournament to join us, but perhaps next time. And of course we have our one and known NT, who, as I recall, is the person who has played in the most Flagon tourneys.
I think he's only missed 1, and it was Ubers, and he's made Top Cut every time he's played.
Yeah, every single time he's played, he's made Top Cut, and not only that, he's played in, like I said, every single tourney except for like a 1 or 2.
Ryan's like, hey, I've made Top Cut every time I've been in a tourney so far. He's been in 1 tourney. We're going to get into the team evaluations. We'll start with Poke Snorlax, which is yours. You're doing odd, I'm doing even, right? So why don't you talk about Poke Snorlax's team?
All right. So first up, we got Poke Snorlax. In case that wasn't obvious by the 5 million times we already said it, he's currently using an electric team. Looks kind of cool. Got some variety. He's got the Rotom plus Manectric kind of Volt Turn core, which is always fun. I think that I really like the fact that he used Electivire. It's like his only physical Pokemon he's got on his team, which is like really cool because usually Electivire is so underrated, but it's got nice coverage and it's actually pretty powerful. Manectric's always going to be a threat, Mega Manectric. Zapdos probably either going to be a wall or, I guess a Life Orb attacker. Other than that, his team, you guys should know the rest.
Sass Blast, PCS vet, or not PCS, yeah, I guess, Flygon tournament vet, but after the first tourney where he was top cut and lost to our good man Legiro, he really hasn't been able to make much of an impact. But this team is kind of he's got a solid fairy core with really nice balance. I really like Azu and Gardevoir. They do really well in OU, and with less checks in the monotype tourney, he should do pretty well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of steel type teams in this tourney, which might wreck him. But we'll see, and I'm worried about the lack of physical attackers as Azumarill is his only one, but he does have a good chance with this team to probably make as big as a splash as he ever has since that first tourney. Young Grill?
Yeah, we're kind of gonna see a lot of biased, physical or biased special teams. Unfortunate as that is, I kind of want to see a little bit of balance in both, in that respect, not necessarily in team wise, but just in that respect. But alas, we got another. Actually, this is probably on the more balanced side because you got Tran and Empoleon, which both are special attackers. We usually see Empoleon physical in our BM squads, but it's normally run as a special attacker in UU. So I assume it's going to be around the same. It would benefit him more in this case to be a special attacker. Other than that, his team looks pretty strong. Bisharp's always going to be a threat. I don't think the fact that it's Monotype makes any difference in that fact. As we know, Egg Slash is banned, so he's going to have Double Blade instead. A little bit of lack of power, I think, in the Double Blade, but tanky nonetheless. Moving on.
Daddy's Bakuzan, or Daddy's Back, or Bakuzan, or Baku 4N, or Snow Day Bakuzan. The tournament jokester, done really well though in previous tournaments. In fact, making top cut thrice out of 4. Definitely.
Who is that?
Definitely. Here's a picture of him when he was a little kid. It's a great photo. No, this is actually what he looks like now. No, I'm kidding. I really like his fighting team. I think Terrakion and Cobalion, he's leaning a little too heavily on, and that's because with Fairy and Flying all over the place this tournament, he really doesn't have very many answers to that. However, the fighting is kind of a wild card for the normal teams and the rock teams and the ground teams in this tournament, where he might be able to fit in and win a couple games. We'll see where he goes. He definitely has that chance to make top cut, and I know that he's definitely pulling for it. Animal Beast or Ivan?
Yeah, so here we see something. This is actually something that Flygon and I are kind of scratching our heads about, and that's that there's only one Excadrill that's being run in the entire tourney. And honestly, we're kind of wondering, why? Excadrill is such a great Pokemon, even on a Steel team. I kind of looked at, as we were looking through the teams earlier, we were talking about how a Scarf Moldbreaker Excadrill has so much potential to sweep entire teams. And especially those electric teams. Rotom Wash is not going to be able to do too much against Scarf Moldbreaker. Aside from that, though, you got the Sand Rush combination that you can get from Hippo. So this team has got a really big threat in, Garchomp, Hippo, and then possibly Megachomp. And we can't forget the fact that they unbanned from OU, what they unbanned in Lander's Eye is always going to be a threat because of how much coverage it gets. So this team looks really threatening, and I'm expecting it to do well.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a good team. Another team that I really like is T. Richmond's team. Holy crap, he's got the best balanced team probably in the entire tournament. Sableye, Aegislash combo, I'm just scared. I don't know if he's going to be able to use this to its maximum potential, but all you need, he could almost 6-0 teams with just these 2 mons in OU. So in monotype with less teams, we'll see. It just is a matter of whether his opponents are going to be able to prep for him. But definitely T. Richmond has one of the better teams in the tournament, and I am very excited to see what happens to it. Chunky?
Chunky's got probably one of the fatter teams that I've seen this tournament. Starting off with Chansey and Blissey are already making me want to be angry. But alas, we have Snorlax, which actually I think is going to be kind of fun to watch. And the Everfast the ever fast mill tank to throw up rocks and T-Wave. And then he's got Persian and Exploud. Exploud, as we know, I quite love Exploud. So I'm expecting fun stuff from this team, and hopefully it'll go down the path of fun and not fun.
I like how you got to review the team that was stalled. I definitely like this team. I actually helped him make this team. I like the
Oh, I
Persian.
see how it is.
I like the Persian a lot, honestly. I think that has a chance to be able to be a wild card here. But the Chansey Blissey is a little redundant, so we'll see how it goes. For young
Yeah.
Pally, Dragon really like the type, but I'm very worried and concerned about the Altaria that cannot Mega, as we reviewed before. So the only Mega they can run is Garchomp Mega, and without the Sand, I don't know how good that's really going to be. Maybe on this team he can carve out a niche. Maybe he just doesn't run a Mega. But it's one of those things like maybe he was better off running a different Dragon type in that slot. However, Dragalge can wreck the Fairy counter. Kieran Black is so powerful. And we all know what Dragonite and Garchomp can do, even non-Mega. So we can see that.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to kind of add on that point that do you think, Flygon, that this tournament actually needs a Mega in order for your team to actually, like, do well?
It depends. I think Dragon and Fairy are one of the few types that can, or Dragon, Fairy, and Steel are the only few types that can really get away with it. I think for a lot of the other types, you have to run like the exclusive Mega, like Ice, like you have to run Glalie or, Abomasnow, or else you're just gonna get wrecked. Uh, Another team that I like is Alex's team. What do you think for coming from the other Alex?
Oh my God. Well, this team's very unique in the fact that I think it's the only rock team there is. He's got the nice unknown spinner of Armaldo, which apparently no one knows is a spinner except for a slight few. This team's actually kind of nice. I do hope that at some point I get to see Mega Aerodactyl because I actually quite adore Mega Aerodactyl. But most likely we're gonna see Mega T-Tar. I think. Or Mega Aggron. I guess Mega Aggron's also good. I quite like Mega Aggron.
Yeah, and I like how the Dumb 12 said, Alex has a team full of Pokemon that I recognize. That's the reason, part of the reason is that Alex was a Gen 3 competitive battler, so he likes to stay with what he knows. And it's just really funny how it worked out that he's using a whole bunch of Pokemon from Gen 3 and below on top of Rhyperior, which is an evolution of a Pokemon from Gen 1. So, familiar team, and I think it's got some good balance. It's not super weak to ground. I like it. Going on to Alpha Slash's team, the Nether Electric team with the Mega Manectric. And what I really like about this team is with the absence of Excadrill, he's going to have a good time against the main counter for Electric, which is ground. He's only got 4 Pokemon that don't get hit by ground, and he has 2 that do. So as long as he manages that, Manectric can deal with Lando Eye and other ground types. And he just wrecks the flying type teams that are in this tournament. And he has a Magnezone, which can deal pretty well with the steel types. So I really like Alpha Slash's team. I think he has a chance to do really well in this tournament. Crunchyroll's team, definitely like that as well. Why don't you talk about that a little bit more, Alex?
So in a previous discussion, we were kind of talking about how much Flygon was drooling over this normal type team, and he's not wrong. I think that this team is very powerful. It's got Ambipom, which is always a threat, even in OU. I guess it still is kind of a threat. I want to kind of bring our attention to the combination of Mega Pidgeot, which is probably what he's running, and Chinchino, which is actually a decent combination, which most people don't really know about. Just 2 fast mons that can really hit hard and just overall take on almost a stall breaking kind of sense. If you've seen them in action, of course we also need to pay mention to P2, who's always going to be fun. I don't foresee him using Trick Room because it definitely doesn't help out any of his team since they're all fast except for P2. So if I had to say something, I'd say it's going to be just a normal Eviolite kill yourself set. That's just how I see it, though.
I think the rest of the team is going to be able to do stuff, but it really comes down to what Terrafic and Ambipom can do. The rest of the team is very solid. I'm a little worried about these two, but I definitely think the team is pretty solid. Talking about Kofagrigus, man, this team is obnoxious to play against. My
So
main
is this picture.
Look at that photo. My main concern is that he only has 2 Pokemon that can really do lots and lots of damage, but those 2 Pokemon can do lots of damage and can definitely sweep. And he's got a
Yeah.
really good defensive core, electric core, not really weak to all that much. And it's Mega Gyarados, man. Mega Gyarados is super underrated, I think, in this format, and it's probably gonna do a lot of work on the flying team. Going on to Super Mew.
We got yet another mono flying. All the mono flyings have kind of been late, at least in our going over of the. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we see a nice tank Skarmory, which is very standard, very standard. He's running Togekiss. I can only assume he wants to catch the attention of the Haxord himself as he uses it. Dragonite actually, I think, is on the lower end of the usefulness scale as far as I remember. It's still bulky, but I just recall it being relatively useful when I looked it up this morning because I only spend about 5 minutes actually studying for this stuff. We have Hawlucha, which is nice, and of course I think Zard Y he has to use because Zard X is banned as we mentioned earlier, and then he's just got a Gliscor.
Gliscor is power, man.
Yeah,
Ryan's team
I'm
has
looking for Triple Fang.
a Cupcake, and it has a Clefable, and it has an Azumarill, and it's really weak to Steel, and that's pretty much all I really have to say about it. I'm really excited about the Cupcake. I just want to see it in action.
I definitely think he should have calculated for his Steel weakness and not put so many fairies on his team. I don't know about you, man.
Definitely should have calculated. Not even Close's team is so good. I'm very worried about this team in the fact that I think it's going to do really well. What do you think about it, Legiro?
I think it's gonna be nice. Obviously, enough Superior is gonna put in that work. Breloom's gonna put in that work. Venusaur's gonna be annoying as hell. Ferrothorn's gonna be annoying as hell. And then you just have Cradley and Rotom, which he's got lots of good coverage. He's got ways to deal with pretty much everything. What he's really got to watch out for though is really like flying type teams that have a lot of like fast mons and powerful mons is what he's really got to watch out for because his team really can't deal with those. But other than that, he has really good coverage all around. So I'm expecting to see quite a bit from this team.
Mitten's team, very strong. I like the way it can hit lots of things. I really like the Sableye. I really like the Weavile. I really like the Bisharp. But my main concern is, where's the special attack, man? I mean, Hoopa U is like better at physical attacking. I mean, it's got really high special attack, so you'll probably run a special variant. But it's just so heavily physical. Like, he's gonna have a hard time with some of these Steel teams, unless Crook can really have a field day. But other than that, he's got some really solid mons and just kind of packaged them. I think Honchkrow can do a really good job with the Moxie and the Sucker Punch and the Brave Bird. So we'll see what it does here. Or special Honchkrow with Nasty Plot. Is that what you're inferring? Maybe an NU that would be good, but I don't know how realistic that is. Quantum Jumper, a friend with the bulky Steel team. What do you think about this one?
Yet another great stall bulky team. I'm just kidding, guys. Honestly, his team, like I said, really bulky. It's really hard to have a effective stall, as we were talking with him earlier. It's hard to have a really good stall in Monotype because the way the typing works and what Pokemon get, it's hard to really get a good stall team together in a Monotype. But alas, he does have a very bulky team. Klefki's always going to be an issue. It just all around annoying prankster stuff. Heatran, as we've mentioned, I think previously, maybe we mentioned it, it's just an all around threat. Fire type moves are going to be great this tourney, especially against that really threatening grass team that we talked about earlier. And of course, he's got a nice spinner and defogger, of course, in Fortress and Skarmory, respectively. So, I'm expecting a lot from this veteran. Can he pull through for me?
XY Zard, though one of the best players in the tournament, he forgot to register a team, and someone registered 2 teams. So he kind of got stuck with a team that he's not used to playing against. And as a lot of you might have known if you read the Delta articles or are familiar with the tournaments, he likes to play like bulky balance with like 1 or 2 setup Pokemon and a lot of bulk. He doesn't really get access to that on this team, but he gets a smidgen. Poke Snorlax built this team. I actually think this might even be better than the team that Poke Snorlax is using. Crobat gets access to the Defog. He's got the Lando T, which has Volt Absorb, which is good. And Char Y is actually pretty strong, and he's got some bulk with the Dragonite and the Togekiss and the Gliscor. So we'll see how that goes. We're almost done with this, and we're gonna start heading matches. Sorry about we're kind of taking our time. We have 2 more teams left. Nuclear Togekiss is the second to last one. What do you think, brah?
Well, this is personally my favorite team, and honestly, I hate this guy's guts with a passion. I think he's the worst player in the league, but I think he's got the best team. Why does he have the best team? Because he's just got really nice coverage. Again, flying type, as we know, flying types are really strong in mono type. He's got the Torrent T, which is the fastest thing on the planet. He's got Mega Gyarados most likely. He's got Lando I. He's got Zapdos for nice coverage. So he's got pretty much all his bases covered. He's got a really strong balance team, so I actually think this team might pull him to the victory that he hasn't had since Tournament 2 of the entire history of the Flygon group.
This is Nuclear Togekiss' tournament to lose, but he does have some matchup issues against some teams, but he probably has the best chance. I think my picks were a little like troll, but I think he probably has the best chance to win, in all honesty. Jin Axel, the man, the myth, the legend, with a team that I really just don't really like all that much. He's won the first 2 tournaments, 3-time tournament winner. He makes top cut every time. He could prove me wrong like he did with the Roserade, or he just, there's no Excadrill. Like, I don't have words for it. Like, he's going to have a really hard time against these electric teams. He's going to really have some hard time against some of the other, the grass team especially is just going to poop on him. He has a chance to make top cut, and if he makes top cut, I think he can go pretty far. He's going to have a hard time making it there, though. That's just my personal opinion. Going to the end, tournament statistics, as if you weren't paying attention, 4 flying teams, 2 steel, 2 electric, 2 ground, 2 normal, 2 flying, or 2 fairy teams. So a lot of the same. We have 17 returning players and 3 new ones, so that's a new record. With a 20-player field, it's going to be a little harder to establish good enough record to make top cuts. And Answers of Flying and Steel will have good days today, and that's why I think that Breland's team is going to do pretty well. Like I was saying, not like I was saying, I think that this tournament's really going to come down to this type triangle. These 3 teams, the Steel, Electric, and Rock teams really have a field day against the heavily prevalent flying teams. These flying teams can have a field day against the ground teams. And the ground teams have a really nice matchup against these 3 types. And the amount of populace is pretty even here. So it's really going to come down to who can steal away wins at this point of the tournament. Unless the normal team or the grass team can interrupt this triangle, that's going to be the real question, is whether those teams can really do, or that ghost team, or the dark team, or the fighting team. So we'll see. Tournament picks for Legiro, what do you think, man?
I previously mentioned before that NT's probably got the best team that they have. Also, he's a good player. Did I mention he was a good player? Because he's a good player. I also hate his guts, but I'm just kidding, guys. NT is like my best friend. Anyway, I did put XYZ in the second place, but I did think that his team is going to have a little bit of trouble, especially dealing with TQJ's bulky steel team. And TQJ kind of having a lot of experience in monotype, I think it's going to really push him kind of towards that second spot, is what I would say. I definitely think Bitten's got enough to get up there. Jin, like we kind of mentioned, Jin's team is not terrible, but we're kind of scratching our heads as to why he chose a few things. But again, it's his team, and he's going to do what he's going to do, and he may end up doing really well. So we're not going to call it while we see it. I did want to kind of mention that Not Even Close Baby's team does actually have a lot of viability, being the grass team. Even with 4 steel type teams, he's got a lot of good coverage on his grass type teams. So, like I said before, I expect some good things from those teams.
For my picks, I think Nikola Tokakis wins Swiss outright. I think not even close, baby. Has a good time against the rock and ground teams and has outplays maybe like the fairy team with the Mega Venusaurs. Uh, I really like that team like a lot, and I think he wins the whole thing. And this number is wrong. This should be 2 here. I think Jin Axel makes it as the 4 seed because he always makes it as the 4 seed, but he has the bad matchup against not even close. I think XYZ makes top cut, but can't do much with the team that he did not make. I think I really like Alex's team, and it really has a great matchup against Nuclear. So if he can do that, he can match up well against Nuclear. But if Alex does not make it, I think Nuclear probably just goes down like this. So this is just kind of like an alternate way of maybe like looking at the seedings and how they work out. Anyways,